What's going on, world? We got Alex and Philip here. We're talking Brazil and Holland. This is Sterling's world. All right. How do you guys feel about this coronavirus stuff, man? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. I don't
All
know.
right.
Yeah, in Holland, everyone has kind of a different mentality towards it, I would say. Like in Holland, like here, it's a country where like if you're sick and you go to the doctor, they'll measure like see what you have, give you paracetamol, and tell you to go home. Like they hardly ever tell you to like take antibiotics. They're like extremely against using them. So I think that's like it's like kind of ingrained in their society. So everybody kind of having different reaction to coronavirus than most countries, I would say. Yeah. Now, there's some people who are obviously taking it seriously. I mean, we are taking it seriously. We're in our house. I think we only leave to go to the supermarket, which is like a 4-minute walk, and that's it. Like that's it.
Okay.
Since uni has been closed, man, for over it's almost a month now.
Uni?
House. Yeah, and but we have friends who are going out for walks or going out for bike rides, going to the beach. Like the beach up in Hague, which is like I don't know, like 40 minutes by tram.
Yeah.
And if you get good northerly winds, you get waves there. You can go surf. And like 2 days ago, I was just checking out. There's a webcam, and I was just checking out the waves. Man, there's like a bunch of people in the water, and so it's quite different. Like, because if you like, I have some friends in Italy too, and like they're all super worried there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's pretty fucked. And in Spain as well, the people are a lot more worried there than they are here. And to be honest, I don't know if it's also the Dutch media hasn't really said much. I mean, we don't speak Dutch, so we can't. I mean, I don't read the Dutch news, but I hear from a friend, I hear what they're saying, and the general vibe is like, could you stay home, man? Like, if you get sick, go to the hospital. Like, first call, and then check if you have the symptoms, and then if it's really seriously, go to the hospital.
Yeah, but if it's not serious, like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So it's
All right. Well, let's start since we're already kind of touching on it. Let's just go through these. Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Philip, Alex. Why don't you guys just introduce yourself? Tell us where you're. Yeah, everyone who's watching, when you watch this, you might not notice, but these guys look very German. Uh, we met each other in, where was it? In Lombok, right? Gili T, the island.
that's it.
They were nice enough to let me sleep on their floor because I was planning on like hammock in this like weird bungalow thing. So I actually slept on the floor of their hostel after really having a good night and doing a backflip off that boat. You remember that? The boat? That was crazy.
I don't even remember meeting you there, but yeah, but it was just how did like you ended up sleeping on the floor, man?
I don't remember, like where we met exactly. I'm not quite sure either, but there was a big party on the beach. I know that for sure. But they look super German. Believe it or not, they're actually from Brazil. But why don't you guys tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you do?
All right, okay, so also, I mean, I'm Alexander Esle. I study here in the Netherlands now. I'm studying applied earth sciences. It's an engineering degree, basically more like mining and petroleum engineering, that kind of area. Yeah, 22 years old. I come from Brazil, grew up there, and moved here to study, basically. Yeah, my name is Philip, and yeah, we study the same thing, conveniently. Yeah, we moved back. Yeah, we moved from Brazil to the Netherlands to study here 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's been a while. Yeah, so far really been enjoying living in the Netherlands. It's quite different from Brazil, just like society-wise, just the entire structure of things here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy situation at the moment.
You both speak German, right?
Yeah.
From because your dad and your mom are both German.
Descendants, yeah. My dad was born in Germany, but he grew up in Brazil. My mom grew up in Brazil, but her family is German. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, actually, tell me and them about the beginning of your life or what you guys did. You guys sailed around the world or something, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are both in the top ranked sailors in the world first of all.
We were. I was like, when we were like between 16 and 18, we used to sail for the Brazilian national team for under 18s.
Awesome.
I participated in 7 world championships. I think I went to 4, no 5. Yeah. All over the world: Japan, Cyprus, Portugal, Ireland, US, Germany, South America. And our family has been sailing like for generations. I don't know how long. And when we were 8 years old, we went to live on a boat. We started off in Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yeah, Puerto Rico actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Puerto Rico. We started and crossed the Panama Canal, did most of the Pacific, and ended up in Australia. And that took us 2 years. So,
yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty.
Man, I'm sure you guys have some crazy stories. I remember your friend. What's her name again? The one that was with you guys in. Yeah, Cecilia. She told me her family hit a whale or something. Like they were sailing and they hit a whale in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, because I don't know if everyone knows, but whales sleep at the surface, right? That's where they sleep so they can breathe, obviously. And her family hit a whale while riding on a boat. That's so crazy.
They broke the rudder. Like
they almost sank the boat.
They're 3 girls, and I think Cici was like 4.
Yeah, she was quite young.
Yeah, so they're like 4, 6, and 8. Like
and then the parents, and like they basically removed the jib, which is the front sail, and put it under the boat to basically like cover the hole. And it kind of worked, but they basically, all of them, like spent every single day like just like lifting water out from inside the boat with buckets and throwing it. For I think it was like 2 or 3 days, like nonstop. They were literally sinking. They had like they had radioed the Coast Guard. They had radioed everyone. They had the life raft ready. They had like the flares ready. Everything was ready to abandon the boat, but they managed to like limp into port. And
wow.
I think it was Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, I think.
Man,
I'm not 100% sure.
Can you imagine though, like you're gonna sink and you just look off in the distance and you see land and you're like, oh, well, we made it. We're so close. We made it. That's scary. But you're in Utrecht now, right?
No, in Delft.
Oh, you're in Delft still. Okay, cool. Which one of you was in Utrecht? It was Alex, right? Yeah, okay. And you went to Delft or you went down to Delft. You moved there. Why? Just to be with your brother, or?
So I used to study in Utrecht, and then like I didn't enjoy studying there too much. Like the social life was pretty great. Like you were there. I know.
I was there a few times, not just once.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But what I was studying wasn't that interesting for me. It was more about the American system, like liberal arts and science. And for me, it was just a bit, everything was in the air. Like I wanted to do something more engineering wise, and that university didn't focus a lot on hard sciences. They focused more on like social sciences and stuff like that. Right. So it wasn't that strong. And then I was like, yeah, I don't know. So I went to visit one of my brother's lectures, and I really enjoyed it. And then I decided to apply for it. And then I got in, and then I moved here now. Yeah.
I went to visit one of your brother's lectures too.
Yeah, I forgot what.
What?
Do you remember what lecture it was?
I think it was mechanics, physics.
Yeah.
Like Newton's laws stuff.
It was my first year, I think.
Yeah, for sure. You were brand new there. Yeah. Like, hey, do you mind if this guy comes to the lectures? Your professor was cool, old man, bald, whatever, gray hair. Cool guy. I did. Yeah, I did. That's true. I probably looked homeless or something in this class, but whatever.
This is crazy.
Whatever. I think I even asked a question or two. Okay. Anyways. So what was the perception of the general public in Holland? When it was in China, obviously everyone was like, whatever, it's just China, it's a Chinese problem. And then what happened when it went to Italy, Germany, and then to Holland? You said people are still laxed, or what's going on?
Yeah, people are still relaxed. Most people were like, this is blown out of proportion, you know? people were like, they were like, this is media going, at it, being hyping the situation up. I think that was that was going on for quite a while. Like people knew about this coronavirus, and they were like, aware of it. Some people were anxious. Most people were like, don't worry about it. So much that like our university like only closed a month ago, and while most universities in the rest of Europe had closed already, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead. So
yeah. Oh, so we had a case in our university, and then it took like 2 weeks from the first case for the university to close. So
yeah,
Really?
it was a girl
Chilling.
from aerospace. Apparently, like don't quote me on this.
yeah, we had a lot of hearsay, like.
And apparently, like her roommates went to some party, and like so I'm saying like and. No, like 2 weeks later, like university is still going on. Like some people were quite pissed, but yeah.
This is like it's one of the slower reacting countries, I guess, in all of Europe. I guess Sweden is still not really doing much. I think their universities and stuff are shut, but yeah, as far as social distancing and all that stuff goes, they still are in the park, midsummer stuff, whatever.
Yeah. No, like I feel like people are way more relaxed here, but it's also like we've seen that Italy was quite pissed at the Netherlands for not, doing their part. I don't know how much you follow European politics, but
recently a lot, but before that, no.
Yeah, but right now there's this rift basically between the northern countries and the southern countries, because the southern countries have been hit the hardest. That's like Spain, Italy, and France now, and the northern countries, Netherlands, Belgium, the Scandinavian countries as well. They're more relaxed about it, and then the southern countries, they want a Eurobond, which is basically they want to borrow money from the European Union, but the Germany, the Netherlands, and the Scandinavian countries, they don't want to do it because basically they're gonna have to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Like they contribute the most to the European Union, and Italy and Spain sort of just they take a lot more money than they put in, and for the taxpayer here in Europe, in the northern countries, they're like, yeah, man, like, why the heck should I be paying for Italy's lack of infrastructure? It's so there's this debate going on, there's this rift going on, and like I'm actually quite curious to see how it develops, because a lot of people are saying this could be the end of the European Union.
Whoa, really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's a bit far-fetched.
Yeah, I think it's far-fetched as well. But I mean, if people are thinking about it, then it's a symptom, right? It's something's not working, right? So I don't know how many dominoes need to fall for that to actually really happen, but I mean,
well, it's not the first time, right? They've been falling. A few years ago you had not Germany. Yeah, I guess it would be Germany and Greece, when Greece had their their economy collapsed. I guess that was like 3-4 years ago, and Germany was kind of at fault for it because they allowed them to borrow money. It was the same thing. So effectively the same thing that happened to the American economy in 2007 with the housing market. Germany did a similar thing to Greece. They allowed them to borrow money, and then they adjusted the interest rates higher with adjustable interest, and they put it higher, so it was impossible for Greece to then pay the money back, and Greece's economy kind of collapsed. So yeah, I guess if they're talking about it, they've been talking about it for a while, but this is one of those things that it could be another domino falling in the puzzle. So
and also
kind of sketchy
in general. It's just because it's such a huge body. Like every state, every country has like a say, and that means that everything just takes time, because everyone has to be heard out, because that's how democracy works, which is good. But it means like that any quick reaction from the European Union is impossible. In a crisis like this one, you need to be able to act, in a matter of weeks, not months. And the European Union takes months to decide things. which is good, which is what you want from a democracy, but not in a crisis situation. So,
Yeah.
so what? I don't know. A lot of people are criticizing the EU for not reacting quickly enough, and shutting down borders cohesively, and I don't know, being a united.
They kind of left it up to the states, right, or each country.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, I think that's the reasonable thing to do, because Italy is much worse affected than Denmark, for example. And why should Denmark have such a closed system if it doesn't need to at the moment?
Yeah.
And
well, speaking of at the moment, do you think they will? I mean, so Italy had if you watch the podcast with Davide Coleman, like Italy had their first case in January, the middle of January, but he said people were having these weird cases of pneumonia back in December. So they were kind of hit with it. And I think it's because Milano and in Rome, and it's a huge touristy place, and people are coming in and out of there, all the time. Whereas Denmark, not so much. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I would have to say like Denmark probably has like 10 times less tourism than Italy in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, are they just behind? Maybe they're just behind, as the States were just behind Italy, maybe Denmark behind.
And also like like one of the reasons why the Netherlands isn't like super strict on like, staying at home and like locking down the streets and everything, is because the hospitals here have quite a large capacity for, like, there's quite a lot of ICU beds, I think they're called, and they have quite a lot of ventilators. So they don't really need to like control it that much. But like that can be seen as not a very good tactic if the situation gets out of control. But like I don't know, like the Netherlands has this kind of different medical opinion than most other countries.
They let you kill yourself in the Netherlands, don't they? If you want.
Well, like it's not so simple. Like,
okay.
If you get
Have you looked into it, Philip, or what?
Yeah, I saw some like. I guess it was a really interesting documentary. Like there was, it's I don't know, it's quite a difficult thing to do, right? Because like, you have to. What about the opinion from the rest of your family?
I think I saw that was the documentary on the gay guy who had AIDS, right? He had it was
chronic depression, I think. That's the one I watched.
I think there were a few. I remember watching one on this guy, a gay guy had AIDS or something, and he was going through the debate, with his doctor, and then he had to go like medical doctor, psychiatrist, then he had to have like some written thing from his family and go back to the psychiatrist to make sure he really, really wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so simple, yeah.
It's not like, oh, I don't want this anymore, like you're happy.
Assisted suicide.
But the attitude here is definitely quite different. Like I think it's obviously a bit stereotypical to say, but in Italy people are more hypochondriac than in other places. I mean, it is,
maybe,
but that tends to be the case. They're more hypochondriac, but here people are like really, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They don't care. If you're sick, like just go sleep and drink some tea and stay home.
So what about Brazil? They're super, super relaxed. I'm sure they don't even care. They're like, bring it. We don't care. What's up?
Brazil is
I'll have some caipirinhas and kill that shit. What's up?
Brazil is honestly fucked.
Like if it breaks out there, they're done for.
No, it broke out already. Yeah. I saw an article today that the infections that they say, the confirmed ones, they say that number should be 15 times higher.
That's what Italy said. Did you watch any of the podcasts before this or no?
No.
Oh yeah, you had to study. You have to check out the one with Kaylee Lynn. She had the virus. She went to the hospital. They said she had it. She's actually still recovering. She's texting me all the time saying that it feels like it's coming back. Like it's still hard for her to breathe. And she had it like 3 weeks ago. So it's still having some serious like long-term damage with her lungs. but she went to the hospital and they said, yeah, you have it, but we're not going to test you. And she's like, well, I want to be tested. And they said, no, we don't have to. Like, from your chest x-rays, all the stuff we took, we can tell you have pneumonia in your lungs. We can see the blackness of where the infection is damaging your lungs, this kind of stuff. So we know you have it, but we're not going to test you because the because to that was, we don't want to report it to the CDC.
What the fuck?
So like, yeah, so I mean, China just came out today. I read an article. I don't know how true it is or not, but they said that they just released that the true deaths in Wuhan was like 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 deaths higher than so
that's Chinese reporting, so it's
yeah, but it seems to be everybody, no? Like, we're doing it.
Yeah, and I really don't get why. Just like this is the time to be honest. You know, this is not
Exactly.
like stuff. Like this is like, you know, this is happening. Let's deal with it. You know, it's like, what's going back to Brazil. Like, what's interesting there, like compared to other countries, is that our government is super divided about it. Like our federal government, so that's the president. He says it's just the flu. The president is saying this, and he just like. I think 2 days ago, he fired the health minister over some different ideology views. I don't know. It was some crazy shit. So basically, it's a chicken without a head. Basically, like, I mean, thank God, a lot of the governors of the states are doing a tremendous good job. Like the Doria, the guy, the president, governor
of the state of São Paulo.
Of the state of São Paulo. Extended the lockdown. You know, he's trying to keep it strict. Rio is also doing a good job. Like all these different states, they're doing a good job. But the federal government is like, I mean, the president, he has a really good team though, like, which is thankfully saving a lot of the crisis. But like, it's still a mess because it's everything is split. Like nobody knows what's going on. No, we have no leader. Like, what the heck?
It's weird because the Speaker of the House in Brazil got the virus, like 3 weeks, two or 3 weeks ago.
Man, like 14 people who worked with him who went together with the virus, and he went to hospital to get it checked, and like his son said he had it, and then like the test said no. Like it was just like major cover up, man. Like we sometimes like. I mean, I'm really pissed at the situation because, like, come on, this is a serious topic, and he's obviously not taking it serious, or he's belittling the situation. He's, you know, saying, you know, it's people are gonna die anyway, so let's just open up the economy again. Like, I mean, sure, you can have that as a private thought, but you can't say that, like, not as a president, you know.
Yeah, you can't act like that as well. Like it. Like, of course, the cold logical thing to do or to say is like, if you don't want to hurt the economy, yes, you have to keep things open. And yes, people will die, but that's not how you weigh out risks. Like, would you choose to go out and, you know, possibly get infected? That's not like an ethical thing to do. It's like.
Are your parents taking it seriously at least?
Yeah.
Are they on the island? Are they on the island? Or are they
on the island?
Chill?
Properly locked down. Like you can't go on the island if you don't live there.
And your dad or mom, they don't need to go into Sao Paulo.
No, they're all working online.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah, good. So what's it like there then? What's it like in Holland? Is everyone working online? Is school online?
Everything is online. I know, like I was supposed to present at an event and that was canceled. I think they rescheduled that to August. So like.
Yeah, a lot of things are getting pushed back. So we had exams canceled and pushed back to Q4, which technically starts in July. So, but to be very honest, I mean, I can speak from my university and from the university in Utrecht and Amsterdam. And to be honest, the level of organization it's pretty bad as well. Like.
Given the circumstances, like it's good. Like like we have like materials online, and we can, you know, if the lecture is like a discussion lecture, which is never the case for engineering, like
never.
They have like you know, Zoom, and then I don't know, just have discussions. But for us, it's just like we have notes. We have like previous recordings of old lectures, and then we just have to watch that.
Yeah.
and then do.
But that's only for some courses. Like for the other course that I was doing,
It's fucked.
it was flow through porous media, man. Like what the heck? It was insane. Like the dude invented, like it changed the exam, and he said like because you can use the computer now, you're gonna have to program for the exam. So they
Nice.
yeah, so stuff like that is also happening. So like, I mean, I understand because they want to keep the level of education high as well. Like they don't want to just like make it an easy exam so everyone passes, and then but then you get
People building bridges and then falling down.
Exactly. So they still want people to get the right level of education, but I don't know. It's been very confusing for everyone. So some of the classes are well organized. Some of them are not well organized at all.
Right.
So it's just you have no orientation. I have no idea when my exams are going to be. I have no online lectures. I have nowhere to check. The guy's not replying to his emails. So,
Are they putting at least like the PowerPoints that they normally present? Are they putting those online?
Like that's online, but
yeah.
Okay.
when the exam is going to be like the one that like I was supposed to have another 2 exams this week.
Mm-hmm.
It got postponed because the teachers wanted them to be not online. But since the semester, like the university basically canceled all lectures and exams until September.
Yeah.
Like
as an in-person lectures and in-person exam.
Yeah. So everything's online until September.
So they are planning at least for longevity. Like from what it sounded like, it was like they're just saying, "Oh, this might last a month, so let's just kind of BS it and hope for the best, but everything will be back to normal in like a month." But they're planning till September at least.
Yeah. That was like their original thought. Like, okay, we're just gonna cancel it until
July,
until 20th of and like
super optimistic, these people. I love Holland, man. They're like, whatever. Just go to the coffee shop. It'll be open soon enough. Don't worry about it.
You can order it from delivery now.
Yeah.
Oh, you can? From the coffee shops? Well, at least they still got their weed situation figured out pretty nicely.
At least that works.
They can't get the education right, but they get the weed sorted.
Come on! Like I think I can't complain, to be honest. But like most of the things that are still going on, like shopping, like that kind of stuff is not open. But like the market, which is on like farmers market, that's open. It's less people selling stuff as well, but it's still going on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And there's like kids, families going out getting groceries.
Really? Do they? Yeah. So okay. Walk me through a day in the life of like somebody in Delft, or is the farmers market in Rotterdam, or is it in Delft?
No, it's every little.
Yeah.
So walk me through like a day in the life of that, and what the people look like. Are they preparing for the virus, that kind of thing? So like, how's that look?
So when I forgot now when it was, like the date that it was like our lockdown. I think it was some like 35 days ago or something. That was like when our university said, okay, like this is serious. We're canceling classes for the next month. Then like me and my brother was like, okay, like shit's going down. Like let's go to the supermarket and see what the situation is.
We literally just because we were like looking at the Instagram stories of like people in Italy and Spain, like
everything,
all the supermarkets empty, and we're like, let's go to ours and see what's going on,
like most people were like hoarding pasta and like canned stuff. And,
did y'all have toilet paper or no?
We had stock before.
Yeah. But I think things ran out, but it was just I think for the first like 4 days there was like that you would go to the supermarket like in the afternoon, and then like you would only find 1 or 2 bags of pasta. Yeah. But like after that, like now the supermarkets are completely full all the time. Yeah. But like not a lot of people go in the supermarket. Yeah. It's like you don't see so many people. Yeah, I think it's more spread out.
Yeah, they also introduced in the supermarkets that you have to use one of the like, little cars now, even though if you just need to buy like an apple, you still need to get a little car just so people keep the distance to each other. Which is
nice.
Yeah. There's a lady that like cleans the cars so that whatever you're grabbing isn't like dirty anymore.
Yeah.
They have like visors and stuff, so it's I think they did the appropriate measures, but like a day in the life, man. It's just like you wake up, you eat breakfast, you study for a bit, and then like if something's missing in the fridge, I'll go and get it, and then I come back, and then like it's not much, Like I work out in the evenings. We're lucky we have some weights, and that's it. Like
Yeah, I saw your little setup. You sent a picture of your little setup.
yeah, it's good.
That's good. So you just go on like a need be basis to the supermarket. You don't go and buy like 7 or 10 bags of pasta and like
No.
5 cans of pasta sauce and then not go again for 3 weeks. You just say, oh, we're out of milk, let's go, like that.
I think we go like two or three times, 2 or 3 times a week, maybe 4.
Really? What?
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
and I went running in the park maybe 2 or 3 times.
Are
And,
people allowed to hang out in the park? Or no big groups, or how's that work?
If you're a group of 3s, and like if it's the same house, like if you live in the same house, then it's fine. But yeah, so like when running and like there's old people running, there's
kids. Like I went to this workshop from Teleria to get some stuff to fix my surfboard, and dude, it's only old people on the streets, man. Only at-risk groups. It's man, like all the people that I know, like our age, like they're keeping to the schedule, like they're staying at home. And go on the streets, man. It's only old people. Like
that is so funny.
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, like, do they have a death wish? Like,
that is too funny.
They just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
So what are some funny things you guys have seen besides the only old people out walking around on the streets? That's so strange. But do you guys have any funny stories or funny weird things?
Yeah, a friend of mine, they live at this like student high rise. It's like I don't know, there's maybe like 500 rooms, like house cluster units, 500 units.
Yeah.
And each unit, like you live with maybe like 8 people, like 8 students, and they're all from this engineering university, and like most of them are just drinking every single day. And so with the building, like they kind of organize themselves. So like every morning they do like a drinking challenge. So one roommate of every like unit goes down on the street in front of the building, so that everybody on the building like watching, cheering, and like slapping the side of the building. Like they're chugging and like
every morning.
Yeah, every morning. Like
good morning.
So friends of mine, like yesterday night, what they did is like I don't know what's it called. It's like you sit on top of a case of beer. So there's 24 bottles of beer, and you cannot get up until you've drank all of it.
One person.
Yeah, 24. Like you can do it. Like you can take like an entire day to do it,
but you have to sit outside the whole day.
No, you sit on this box.
But outside, in front of the big building.
No. They just did that between themselves. Like
okay.
It's just 3 of them. Only one finished. The rest, like they passed out.
Well, if 2 people pass out, how do they know the last guy finished? He could have just dumped the beers in the sink.
The other roommates were studying for an exam, so they were so.
All right. So funny, man. There's so many crazy stories.
Spare time, they're just fucking around, like doing jack shit.
Yeah. Are you guys staying busy? What are you guys up to? What's your projects?
I mean, well, we've been studying for this exam, so technically, I mean, we finished it like it's not even an hour ago. So we just got free. So we're actually quite lucky. We're doing our Yachtmaster certificate, which is basically a captain's license for like a commercial captain's license. Next week. So see, like business is still open as usual. So we scheduled this
ish because like we're only 3 people, so it's like us 2 and like the instructor. So we're like in the allowed limit from the Dutch government of like agglomeration.
Yeah. So it's only 3. The Dutch limit is 3 people can hang out at a time together.
Yeah. So we're gonna go sailing for 5 days and like get our certificates. So we're gonna do it's 3 days of practicing and then 2 days of exams. One day is an oral exam, the other one is like a practical exam.
Right.
And yeah, so that's what we're doing next week, which I'm quite excited.
Yeah. Get out of my
house. Are you going to be staying there then? I mean, where's it going to be? Is it going to be in Amsterdam?
It's on a boat. You sleep on a boat for a whole
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's quite good. Like the idea was that I was gonna get this captain's license, and then during the summer, go to the Med and try to get a job there on the super yachts. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. But at least I got the captain's license, which is great. So whenever this shit show is over, I can work.
I met a lot of people traveling that were down in Nice and in Cannes and stuff like that, jumping on these super yachts. I was going to do it actually, but I didn't have nearly the experience you guys have. But it's not sailing normally. It's like you're just a deckhand on a big freaking boat.
It's a glorified window cleaner, man. I did it. Yeah, it was after you came to Utrecht. Yeah, we met in Barcelona. Yeah, you remember that?
Wait, when? What?
It was in 2017, and we met in Barcelona. You came up. You were, dude. I don't know what you were doing there.
I was staying there, I think, for a little while.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't you go on Vegas as well?
No. That was.
Oh yeah. You were hanging down at the docks. We met down by the dock, and I had my skateboard with me and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, during that time I was working on Invader, just like a 50-meter.
It was big.
Classic.
You showed me. Yeah.
Massive boat. It was just me and the captain because the boat was like, it was just changing hands. Like the previous owner was like an Italian general who had passed away, and his family like was broke. They didn't have money for the boat, and they wanted to sell it, so they had like a skeleton crew. And yeah, so I was working on the boat next door to that one. And then I met the captain. I told him like, yeah, like after I'm finished with this job, like I'm looking for other jobs. And he said like, yeah, I need some help to roll up the sails, to do some boat work. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm down. And so it was basically me and then two other guys who only spoke Spanish, and the captain who only spoke English. So I don't speak Spanish, but like from Portuguese to Spanish, I can sort of like the captain was trying to give these two other guys like some instructions, and I was like doing the bridge, like trying to communicate. And basically we had to remove the mainsail, and that mainsail weighs a ton, like literally a ton. It was just us poor guys trying to manhandle that shit. It was insane.
Dang.
But it was good fun. Yeah. So man, you should have done it, to be honest. Like the work, you get paid quite well for the job, for the work that you're doing. It's very satisfying because it's like physical work. Like you're in the sun and you like feel like, oh man, I did something today, right?
Yeah.
Full screener, the sails are packed, you're like things are organized, so it looks like you're making progress.
And you just stayed there, right? Like you just stayed in the.
Yeah, I lived on
the harbor, but you were in the harbor. Like you guys didn't go anywhere, did you?
No, not with that boat.
No.
Yeah. And then I flew over to Palma to participate in the Copa del Rey, like it's a pretty famous sailing championship.
Right.
And then I raced the boat there as well. And then I flew back to the Netherlands because I was tired. I was like, man, no, dude, because it was hectic. Because I didn't have a contract, so I got a job for like a week on a boat, and like as soon as I got the job, I was already looking for the next one because it takes time. You gotta meet people, you gotta talk to them, you gotta check out the situation.
Sure.
And like I didn't want to get stranded in some random place with no money and like what do really fuck me. I was like, man, it was quite stressful to always look for the next job. And then after 2 months, like I was almost done with my holidays, and I was like, man, I need a break.
I can't see you being worried or stressed about being anywhere. Like, I remember the last time I was in Utrecht with you, you guys were planning a hitchhike from Utrecht to, what was it? Was it from Delft or was it from Utrecht?
It was from Utrecht to
yeah, to Hungary or whatever it was, to Budapest, bro. Stuff. What the heck, man? And some girl did it in like 23 hours. She got in like a truck with some guy. So sketchy, man.
It's it's so funny because the girls always win that race. Like,
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
there was, man, this, I just remember this picture in my head. It's like these three girls, like literally in the back of a van, like not a van with seats, like it's one of those vans that you have to like pull up and down the shed in the back, and they're literally like in a blacked out van.
I thought they were in a truck. They got in a van.
Yeah, it was, dude. Yeah, I was like, man, but they won, man. They won.
It's like, hey kids, come in my van. I got candy. So awesome. So
Europe is pretty great, man.
oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. And now that you say that, like I met so many girls hitchhiking, women hitchhikers. And I always tell people, they're like, how could you be hitchhiking? It's so dangerous. I'm like, man, it's not dangerous at all. I don't know. Since I saw you guys, I hitchhiked from Uruguay to Belém, right?
Yes. Crazy, man.
So I hitchhiked the whole coast of Brazil, like 9,000 kilometers. I hitchhiked the whole coast. And like, I had no problems at all. None, zero. Super cool people. I didn't even speak Portuguese. I speak a little bit now, but not good enough to even get by really. But yeah, the women that I met hitchhiking in Europe, it was funny. Like I'd be standing there for an hour hitchhiking and I wouldn't get anything. Some girl would come pull up, get out of a car, stand next to me, and then someone stops and they're like, you need a ride? I'm like, yeah, I'm going here. She's like, yeah, I'm going here, like further. And they'd be like, oh, we'll take her. I was like, what do you mean you'll take her? Like this doesn't. And they're like, yeah, well, she's only going here. She's going farther. It's easier just to go farther. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like it really doesn't. But like they have so much easier of a time doing it. But people think it's dangerous. But I have every single girl I've talked to has only amazing stories from doing it and never any problems. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can sense it immediately if that guy is dodgy or not, or if the people are giving you a ride
Yeah.
A lot of these people, they just like they're going from place A to point B, and they've done it like 50 times, and they're alone, they're carrying a bunch of shit, like they're just like, yeah, man, fuck it, just come with me.
Man, I had a guy pick me up from Germany. I was hitchhiking to Utrecht, one of my times that I went to Utrecht. And he was actually German in Germany. He had to go the other way from the border. So he picked me up on the border of Germany. I don't remember where exactly it was, but he's like, I can only take you to the border because I'm actually supposed to be going the other direction. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. His name was Arnu, really cool guy. And he drove me to the border and we were just talking like philosophical questions and like super deep, like how we get into like these space talks and stuff, like these kinds of talks. And we just were talking. We got to the border. He's like, okay, I'll take you a little further, but I'm not taking you to Utrecht. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, okay, cool. So we go and we just keep talking. And he drives me all the way to Utrecht. And he's like, oh, we're in Utrecht. I'm like, oh, we are? Cool, man. Thanks. Like, I thought you weren't taking me here. He goes, yeah, well, you didn't say anything. So I just kept driving. I was like, okay. But man, such a cool guy. Just dropped me off at my friend's house and turned back. I was like, what are you going to do? Like, you got a whole ride back. He's like, oh, I like to think. Like driving in cars helps me think. So I'm just going to turn all the music off, roll the windows up and think. I was like, wow, that's like super noble. Such a cool thing, actually.
Yeah, one of the guys who gave us a ride also, like he drove like an extra 100 kilometers, like, and he was like, yeah, my wife's probably going to be pissed, but whatever.
Yeah.
You guys seem like quite nice kids, it's fine.
The super, super cool people hitchhiking. I have a cool question. So, I mean, it doesn't sound like it in Holland, but you guys can give me your opinion. Now that everything's kind of gone online and remote, businesses, school, some people that have stuff that needs to be done online were already, but they're not having to pay now for offices and stuff. Some other countries are using this as like a trial period, to see if they can take things online, to see if it is more effective, if people work harder. Do you think in Holland that they'll try to keep things online as far as school goes? I know you guys don't know the business side of it, but like as far as school goes, do you think they'll try to keep things online to avoid, all the stuff that comes with going to class and all that? Or do you think right when this is done, boom, you're back at school?
I think they're gonna put us back in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're gonna like prepare a lot more stuff, like a lot more online content. So like not all the lectures we can find them online, like recording of lectures. I think they're gonna like try to make sure that all the lectures have online recording.
Yeah, that would be good.
I think they will definitely have this period. Like I think more courses will see that it's possible to just do an online exam, and it's not such a bad scenario. Like the exam we had today was like it was a tough exam, but like it was good. Like I didn't feel too much of a difference from having an exam, in a classroom somewhere, where like university needs to like hire people to watch over the exams, and there's like I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of exams. I think it's like 500 exams per quarter.
Yeah.
So they hire quite a lot of people, and all of this stuff happening simultaneously. It's like quite a big logistical nightmare. So I think if they see that these online exam situation works, I think they might be more keen in doing more online exams.
It would be nice, to be honest. I mean, as long as you have an option, I think it's great. Like to see, like if they get this system to work, like it's good to have that option that you can shift from one to the other quite seamlessly, like without a lot of. I think that's good. But in terms of a job, like as a normal job here in the Netherlands, people here in the Netherlands they value like social time, like time with family. And time away from the job quite a lot. Like it's very common that once you get like to like between like late 40s, 50s, that you get an extra day off, or you have shorter working days and stuff like that.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what you work with.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people can get that, like here in the Netherlands. Like they're really generous with the amount of the work hours. So I think that now that more people are working online, there's a lot of people are going to see that, this isn't too bad. Like I actually like doing this. If I can go to the office 3 times a week, but maybe then to the other 2, I work from home.
Right.
More time with my family. I think people are going to see that, and they're going to say, look, can I just work from home because it was working great? Like, and then if it was working great, the boss would probably be like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, this is something actually really cool. Like working in the I did my internship here in the Netherlands, and what I saw is that like the difference between the boss and like you, the intern, is really small here. And everyone's about having a good time. Like everyone wants you to perform well. Like it's this idea of like the boss and the intern is non-existent here. It's like everyone's part of this group. Let's work together. So if they feel that the people want this and that they work better like this, they're happy like this, they'll probably do it. Like that's something really cool.
That's interesting.
I don't know how it's in the US. Maybe.
Yeah, we're not sure. Like this is a huge thing. So a lot of people have gone online. A lot of companies have laid people off, unfortunately. But there's like an interesting caveat is like, if they can do it online, if they can transition everything online, where they're having their Zoom meeting in the morning, Zoom meeting at night, whatever it is, but then they're able to work whenever, because some people are morning people. I wake up at 5 a.m. But some people are night owls and stay awake until 2 a.m. because that's when they like to work. That's when they like to get things done. So as long as productivity increases or stays relatively the same, I don't see why people wouldn't be allowed the freedom to stay at home, not to mention the environmental benefits of taking everything online, right? The less cars on the road, less impact on the environment. Maybe it'll slow down global warming, all these other issues. And companies that are renting places in downtown, it's super expensive to rent office space. So maybe they won't even need to rent. They can just take everything online. Maybe it'll slow productivity down a little bit, but maybe that cost is worth it. Instead of paying $250,000 a year in rent for a place, maybe it's worth it to take it back online and to keep it there.
Yeah, actually, I'm quite curious to see what the data is from the productivity data is from companies, because they'll be able to compare it now with last year.
Yeah.
The entire economic situation is not good, so that might obviously have an effect. But you can probably see if a project is done last year and the similar project is done this year, you can kind of correlate the two.
Yeah, you'd have to take a standard deviation maybe, because the first month you might not be able to include that, right? Because this transition was an issue.
Yeah,
So, but like take away that first month or the first month and a half, 2 months, and then check the productivity compared to the years before and see if it increases. I mean, some companies like Apple and Microsoft and whatever, they like the collaboration in the workplace. They have like these big open areas where people work in stations all around this open area, but they eat lunch in the middle or something. Because if I've been working on a project for 2 weeks and I can't solve it, you know this in engineering, if you can't solve it, like sometimes you just talk to your friend who's like a a mechanical engineer or electrical engineer, and like you ask them your perspective and they're like, oh, why don't you try this? It's like, what the hell? I've been thinking about this for 2 weeks. What the heck? What do you mean? You just thought about that now? It's like, yeah, well, so they value this social time and stuff like that. So, but as far as programming goes and all that, like I don't see why people shouldn't be allowed to work at home.
Or at least partially. Like, I think what you bring is a good point, because of course it's really good to have those areas, and that community and that interaction is still very good. And I think it should be there.
and it's also very highly valued here in the Netherlands.
Yeah. So I think there will still be that like pressure. I mean, not even pressure. It's just like, look, if you want to work from home, you can work from home, but like you should come to the office once in a while, because I mean, it helps the team, right? Like, I think if people do it voluntarily, then that's just much better, right?
I think some companies are scared of that. They're scared that like if you give the person the option to stay home, they're just going to stay home forever.
But then, like, if they're unsatisfied with the person's performance, they just fire them, right? So, like,
I think it's quite difficult to do, but you can't just be like, "Hey, you're shit, bye." Like, you have to give people warnings and.
Oh yeah, indeed. But like, if you tell, like, it's also another cool thing about here in the Netherlands is if, like, you can choose your work hours. So, like, the standard work hours is 9 to 5. Like, that's like
us as well.
Yeah. So some people, what they do is like, okay, they need to work that 9 to 5, but okay, I want to, I need to drop off my kids very early at school or something. Then they just shift the work day to start earlier, so they can pick up their kids sooner or whatever. And so you can shift your day to wherever it is. So there's already that flexibility on top of that. And then also what my brother said, like, you can, depending on your job, you can pick a day for you to be free, for you to be with your family, or and to work from home. So that kind of flexibility already exists in many of the big companies here in the Netherlands. So I think this whole situation would just probably highlight the fact that this system is good. Like, it works, like, to be flexible and allow people to kind of work from home if they want to.
It would be nice if schools took this approach as well. Like, you can be online for lectures and stuff, like webinars, online live lectures, whatever, stay home, and you just sign in and you're there, and they notice that you're there, so they don't need to like, oh, Philip's here or Alex is missing, screw them. They don't need to do all that stuff. But
like we don't have that here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't either, but some people do. I didn't have it in my lectures either. I never went to lecture, actually. But it would be nice if they had that, like, you can come. There's a mandatory 1 day a week study session area that everyone needs to go to as like a class. But then like your lectures, and depending on what you want to do, you can kind of just watch the live webinar of the lecture, or you have the decision if you want to go or not to go, whatever. If you don't want to, you stay home and you do it at home. But like 1 day or 2 days a week, you got to come in and collaborate with your colleagues at work or at school to bounce ideas and stuff.
Right, and that makes sense. Like, it's also like, I don't think it's also too good, like, personally and like mentally, like, to stay at your house and like not go out that often. Like, I think like that's like after these like 35 days in the house, like, I don't know, I kind of miss like seeing my friends, and like even not my friends, like I miss just seeing just random people. Like, it's, I don't know, just having like meaningless conversations as well. It's also,
man, you're gonna be like, hey Alex, I need to go get milk. There's no milk, and you're gonna leave, and he's gonna look in the fridge and be like, there's 3 gallons of milk in here. What are you talking about? You're like, I need to go see somebody.
yeah.
But also, I mean, to be honest, we don't know how this virus situation is going to go, right? I mean, it could go a lot longer than summer, right? I mean, I don't know. A lot of people have this idea that by September, this shit's under control. But I mean, it could go until next year.
Yeah.
And it could be, you know, like just vertical isolation, or just people at risk, stay home and stuff like that. And then just some sort of social stuff is allowed, you know, some jobs open, you know, education. I don't know how it's gonna go, but like also like, you know, if we're gonna stay for a year like this, you know, that you everyone's working from home, you know, but some businesses are open, some are closed, you know, some things you can do, some things you can't. Like, I mean, we're gonna do this until we have a vaccine, right? Because there's no other way. Like either everyone gets infected, or we have a vaccine, or
Yeah,
it's done, man. Like, I don't know.
something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to get rid of something like this permanently forever.
Yeah.
That was one of the big situations with quarantining a country immediately. I forgot where I read this article. I think it was a UCSF professor or something was writing it, but he said like there's some strict laws about quarantining a country. When there's an outbreak, a pandemic, you can't shut your country off immediately, because there's a huge economic issue with that, and not to mention that if the virus doesn't go away, if the pandemic doesn't disappear within a month or two, that means you literally have to quarantine your country then for a whole year and a half or whatever until it's gone. And in a global economy, that's just impossible. You're going to destroy the livelihood of the people that live there. So like there's like some weird statistics, like you have to allow a certain percentage. It might be what Holland's doing at the moment. You might be able to allow a certain percentage of your country to get infected, and then you watch the hospitals. So then you watch the hospitals, and when the hospitals fill up to 50% full, so like 50% of the ventilators are used in the hospitals, right? Then you start mandatory some quarantining. And then when it reaches 75%, then you do a strict quarantine. And then you try to keep the numbers hovering around the full occupancy until you see it going down. And then you can allow more people to go out again. But it's like you have to allow some of your population to get it before you start quarantining, or you're going to destroy the global aspect of your economy by shutting everyone out completely.
Like that's the strategy. Like, evidence,
Yeah.
they are looking for like herd immunity. Like, probably heard the term
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
The problem is like it only counts if you can't get the virus again. But if you can get it again, then like it's an argument.
Yeah, as of now, we're pretty convinced that you can't get it again, unless or from what all the experts I've talked to and what I've understood about viral infections and stuff is you can't get it again once you have immunity. And for it to make this big genetic shift in its protein structure on the outside to where your cells won't recognize it as the same virus to where they produce the antibodies, for that to happen, it's very unlikely that that'll happen anytime soon. So herd immunity is still a very big thing. But the question is right after you catch the virus and after you recover, are you still susceptible to catching it again because your body is weak? You have a depleted B cell count. The B cells are what produces your antibodies. Because you have a low B cell count, even if you have the antibodies, the virus will still be able to replicate a lot faster than you'll be able to fight it. You know what I mean? So there is this like, you should be immune, but if you catch it too early again, or if another virus comes in you and starts attacking you too early again, you might not be able to fight it, even though you have the antibodies. So that's kind of like the touchy situation. Herd immunity still is a thing.
Yeah, I'm actually quite curious to see, like, because I've been following New Zealand. Like the Prime Minister of New Zealand has done a really good job at limiting the amounts of cases in New Zealand. But so they have a very few cases, very few deaths. I mean, but in terms of like population size as well, like I think they're almost. I need to check this again, but like I think they're pretty close to like eradicating the virus in New Zealand. But that also brings me like that's also another problem, because if you don't have a cure in the next year or two, you're gonna get it again, and then so you're always gonna have to quarantine people to a max, because that's what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
No one's they're not gonna establish a herd immunity there because no one has it. So
And that's a global problem.
Yeah.
That's a global issue at that point, because we all need to kind of stick together on this as a global community, and say we have to let everybody kind of get it in a way, because if everyone who will let people get it kind of eradicates it, but then New Zealand is over there and they get it again in a year because they didn't, clear it up completely, or they don't have a herd immunity or whatever, then they have it again, they have an outbreak, and then we all got to be worried again, you know? I mean, because here's an issue as well, like why the common flu infects you again, right? Why influenza, you're able to catch it again, is because your antibody count depletes after a certain time period. Around a year and a half, 2 years, your antibody count for influenza will deplete, meaning that you maybe have built up these antibodies, but after a year and a half, these antibodies start to go away. Your body kind of forgets how to fight it again. So that's why if New Zealand's over there like chilling, like not having any cases, and the whole world kind of had it, and then New Zealand gets it again, and it's been 2 years, then what if it comes back? China could get it again because China had gotten rid of it before, but now that their antibody count is going down, they could be susceptible to getting it again. So this is where it becomes an endemic.
But that's if New Zealand doesn't have the vaccination, right? Like if they have vaccine.
Yeah, then everyone's okay. But like until you manufacture, I don't know, 8 billion vaccines, like man.
I think that's something I'm really curious how the logistics of the vaccinations is going to be, because like you need 7 billion vaccines or 8. I don't know how many we are.
I think it's like 7.5, 8 billion people now.
Yeah, that's like you have to vaccinate 7.5 billion people.
With the appropriate vaccine, but yeah, if it has some mutation to it, then you cannot vaccinate everybody.
It's like the flu, you get it every year.
Like actually, you need to vaccinate everybody.
Well, we're looking at it like this: like if you can't get rid of it in this year, then we might have to be getting vaccines every year for this again, like the flu. It could be another flu, like mutating, and once it mutates too much, once the protein structure on the outside mutates enough to where it has like 4, 5, 6, 7 different strands, then you could only provide a vaccine for 1 or 2 of those, and then what, and then you still are going to catch the other ones.
I think any outlook that says corona is just to the end of this year is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'll send a link to you guys. You can trace like so there's a professor at USC that I was listening to talk, and he is tracking the strands of the SARS-CoV-2. So you can see, like, this is why they think the people in Italy are dying a lot faster, because they're getting hit with a more deadly strand of it, or they just have a different immune system response than we do to fighting. We, meaning like Northern European descent, we have a different response of fighting this virus. So like, but you can see there's a big graph, like a circle pie chart, that you can track the different strands of the virus as they spread. Like New York is getting hit with one, and there's like multiple strands of this virus. They all have the same protein structure on the outside, meaning that they're all relatively the same. And if you provide a vaccine, it will work for all of them. But once that protein structure on the outside, once that changes, then we're all kind of, it could be an issue. But you can see like the different strands that are being kind of populating the earth is really interesting.
I think something that people should like try to correlate in the data, and like someone should try to do this, is see like, because like Italy, like a lot of people smoke, and Milan, like the pollution there is quite bad. So like, I want to see if there's like some sort of correlation between like just pollution and smoking and like deaths due to COVID. Like it must be correlated. Like there must be some correlation, because if really shoot your lungs with smoking, I don't know how many cigarettes a day they do, but like I think it would be cool to see some of this data, because hopefully like people will realize, okay, pollution like is not just, it's like killing us actively. Like to prove it. I think that's gonna help us out in the.
Maybe Mother Earth is kind of teaching us a lesson, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I think so. Like, shouldn't have eaten the bat, man. You just should have bat suit, man.
But actually, I was bro. Like you say about this bat, like the bat is like pretty crazy. But like, just imagine like one of the cows that we eat. Like if that gets some sort of virus infection, like it's pumped up with so many like antibiotics. If something grows on a cow nowadays, it's a super, like it's create a huge havoc.
They had that mad cow disease, didn't they, for a while?
Yeah,
They
yeah, that
still
was
have it.
yeah, and H1N1, like swine flu is
Yeah.
also swine flu was pretty bad as well.
It's from a pig.
Yeah.
Swine, yeah, for sure. How do you say pig in German? It's swine, no?
Schwein,
Yeah.
Schwein.
Schwein. And this is another cool question. So, my friend has he's in Austin, Texas, and one of the people that he knows told him about you guys kind of mentioned it earlier with the alcohol, but someone he knows that's kind of works with the gambling department in Austin, Texas, said that due to this virus and the quarantine aftermath of it, he said gambling has increased, alcohol purchases have increased. So like, it's kind of interesting. I'm curious to see what is happening with Holland, because Holland is I mean, they're not actually big in smoking, but I mean, it is legal there. So have you guys heard anything about the alcohol consumption going up besides your drunk college friends? Have you?
But I think that's just constant. I think they're just doing it indoors instead of in party. Like,
Have you guys heard anything about gambling going on or anything like that?
I'm not sure if gambling is it legal here?
Nah, it is, yeah, man.
Okay.
Because
Oh yeah,
it's-
true. You have to casino. So I don't think people are not going to casinos because they're closed as well. But I think like most people would be curious about the weed situation just because it's legal. But to most people's surprise, like most Dutch people don't smoke weed, and if they do,
Yeah.
it's very casual. It's as if like how many times a week do you take a shot? It's like that's how many times a Dutch person takes a puff of weed. Like it's not so common.
Mostly the tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly a tourist thing, huh?
But like when the like it was in the very beginning of the lockdown, just before like the government asked the people to close down stuff, like there was like huge like queues around the block for like because people just stocking up. But yeah, that's like good because
I mean, if you smoke weed and you're gonna stay home, you have nothing to do, like
Yeah.
good, man. You gotta make sure you got that.
People gotta wipe their ass. They get toilet paper. Other people need to smoke weed, so they get weed.
And like what best? Like if you're bored at home, like smoking a bit. If you're anxious, like
Yeah,
it's good to be honest. Like
for a lot of people, it does help. Yes.
Like Holland sees like weed as the rest of the world sees cigarettes. It's bad for you. If you're gonna consume it, we might as well regulate.
But I used to smoke a lot, and I still smoke occasionally. But I see it now like I'd rather have a drink actually than smoke, just because as we mentioned before, we'd like to see the statistics of smoking in the COVID-19.
Yeah. But I heard like alcohol is not very good as well for your immune system. Like it really like
Well, it's poison.
Yeah, it weakens your immune system.
For sure.
Like,
yeah.
I saw a couple of videos of some like very good Brazilian doctors saying like, yeah, like it's cool that people are working out at home as well, but like don't make sure you're not like super tired after a workout, because that's also brings down your immune system. Try to like really limit your consumption of alcohol and smoking as well.
And sleep, you got to get sleep. This is like my brother's a virologist, and he studied this, and he said like there was a study done with the rhinovirus, which is the common flu, or not common flu, the common cold. And he said like there was some, I don't know, you can watch the interview with him, but he pretty much says like sleeping a good like 8-9 hours a day will increase your body's capability of fighting a virus 10 times over.
Yeah.
So
And
getting good sleep.
Healthy as well. Like, yeah, like I think
What's healthy? Yeah, tell us what's healthy then. What's a healthy meal for the twins?
For the last week, I don't know.
We had one.
Some sausage the other day. Barbecue. Yeah, good. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like we normally just like tend to eat like a lot of vegetables, a lot of rice. Like peppers. Like that's just. I don't know. Try to keep that healthy.
Yeah, tortillas as well. Like the what's it called? Yeah, the tortillas. Yeah.
Tortilla.
Yeah, beans, rice,
Some Mexican food.
curries,
falafel.
Nice.
Some bread as well. Bread is nice. They have good bread here.
Yeah.
It's what about bread? Can you get bread still? Bakeries are open?
Bakeries, I think
they're open.
Yeah.
Like the ice cream shop in the city center is also open.
So just the necessities, just bread and ice cream. Just
No, like the meat shop is also open. Like
that's true.
now, and I think I think restaurants are closed. The rest, like
it's pretty
restaurants
much
are closed.
open.
Like no parties, sadly.
Would be nice. Today would be nice.
Not there's never a party in Delft, dude.
Yes. You gotta know where to look.
Yeah.
But I actually went to a pretty sick house party beginning of this year. It was like 3 adjoined houses. Like they're all like from like the 1700s or something. And,
awesome.
Like, 25 students live there. Bro, it was like insane. Like the first floor, like they don't have underground. Like so the first floor, it's like it used to be this like big banquet hall. It's like not that big, but it's still pretty big. Maybe like the size of a.
Did you say at the beginning of the year, like January?
Yeah.
Or is
So
it
like the coronavirus was already going on, and they had this massive party.
Yeah, like no one cared. It's like very beginning of January. It's like
Okay,
we're like 7 or 8 January.
got it.
And like, yeah, like a huge basement. Like, well, not really basement, but like techno rig, smoke machines, everything. Like,
Awesome.
it's like different like DJs, live band.
How's everyone?
I can give you that. The Dutch know how to party.
Yeah, for sure they do. They have huge music, like Winter Wonderland is in Holland as well. These massive parties, yeah. What's everyone doing to stay in contact there? Are you Skyping your friends at all or anything like that?
Yeah. Skype. Well, I mean, house party, a Zoom, a WhatsApp.
A Zoom house party. Oh, nice. 40 minutes at a time, right? Because you can only do like groups can only be on there for like 45 minutes or whatever it is at a time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
House party is quite fun. I've used that quite a few more times.
Yeah.
What is it called?
House party?
It's another app.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And what are you learning about your brother since you haven't? Have you guys been living together a long time now?
Yeah, we've been.
So what's like?
My older brother as well used to live with us. He moved back to Brazil like I think like a week before COVID, like before lockdown, like a week before, like I'm gonna go back to Brazil, find a job there.
Get away from it.
His girlfriend, like Ludovica, she studies in Milan, and like I think like week 1 where people were like, okay, there's like some sort of virus stuff happening there. Like she said, I'm out of here. Like she immediately went back to Brazil. But like she like I don't know, she's a hypochondriac. Yeah.
Well, she did right. I mean.
Yeah, no, she did a good move, and like. Yeah. And all her friends like are in Milan. Like we're now like they just stay indoors. Like, can't do shit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's gonna happen actually in Brazil, because it is summer still. You know, it's right now getting into like fall in Brazil. Yeah. So like summer will help kill the virus, but as far as when it starts getting cold and wet again, you know, it might be getting worse, unfortunately.
And people in Brazil are not very good with following
rules.
What makes the Brazilian people like awesome, but it's also what makes them like the situation much worse. Like
that's true.
But I mean, you gotta look. I mean, we're quite lucky, but a lot of people aren't, and I think that's also true for a lot of places in the world. Like also in the U.S., there's a lot of people who can't stay home. You know, there's people that live paycheck to paycheck. You know, this is the end of the month. It's fast approaching us. You know, what are they gonna do when the money's out? And in Brazil, it's like that, but squared. You know, it's a bit more complicated because there's a lot more people in that situation. Yeah. And
the one up we have on the US is that like we have the SUS, S-U-S, which is basically like free healthcare.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. But I used it once in Brazil, actually.
Yeah. I went there a couple of times.
Yeah, but I mean, it is tough for these people living paycheck to paycheck, and it is kind of in LA. They just passed a thing saying you can't during this COVID stuff, this coronavirus thing, you can't get kicked out of your house. So that's good. I mean, if you miss rent, you can't get evicted, but it's not like it disappears either. You have
Yeah,
and
but
you have a year to pay it off.
who's splitting that bill though? Like that's the problem. Like and like who's going to pay for that person not receiving their rent? Because maybe that other person who you're not paying rent to like needs that money to pay back, I don't know, some student loans or something.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like that kind of just like snowballs. That's why like I'm like really enjoy that the US is like rolling out this
UBI.
yeah, well, not it's not UBI yet, but like you know, it's a trial like 3 months of yeah.
They did the economic stimulus package came.
Yeah, indeed. That thing.
It came. My sister got her $1,200 or something.
Nice.
That's good.
She got it 2 days ago. Yeah.
Wish that the Netherlands does the same, you know.
I'm sure, man, like I think they're just behind. Like once more and more cases start happening, it'll change the perception.
Yeah. Like for me, I think that's like my positive outlook for the situation is that programs like UBI are gonna like become like mainstream and like logical to adopt. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you know, this economic crisis that we're going to face. Like a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we're already in it." It's like, bro, you didn't even start. Like my my dad like does some consulting jobs for General Motors in Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and so he knows quite a lot about the supply chain of the auto manufacturer like there, and he says like, yeah, it's gonna fall apart in the next month.
Yeah.
It's all gonna collapse because everything is tuned to such a high level of efficiency. You have one factory shut down, all the other ones will shut down as well, and in the end, like that's you know how many million people work at the auto market.
Yeah.
But like all of these people are not getting paid by their like the company cannot pay them because the company is not making a profit. So the government needs to pay them so that they can survive. And so the logical reason why is just pay everyone like universal basic income, give everyone like you know the head above the water, and or just close enough so that you know they can do some side hustles and you know have a dignified life. And I think that like this entire crisis is bringing that to light, that it makes sense to have that, and like in the economics of it makes sense as well. Like it's yeah, trickle down economics, right? I think that's
Trickle up.
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
Trickle up.
Now and
yeah, trickle up economics. I think it's much better than trickle down.
Yeah, capitalism is trickle down, but it's trickle up is kind of an interesting thing. I think we have some presidential candidates that we're talking about, like Andrew Yang or whatever his name is.
We
Yeah.
follow Yang.
So yeah, this was kind of interesting. The opposing approach to that is if you give everyone $1,000 a month, they're just going to be lazy and play video games.
but you can't live off $1,000 a month, man. Like the
Yeah.
rent in a lot of cities is at least $500 a month,
Yeah.
at least. And then you have to pay groceries and utility bills and whatever. Like you can't. Like you need to
Yeah.
work. So it's just enough to pay the bills and the food. But
Right.
the is like that's on you, you know.
Yeah.
So it's keeping people off the streets, keeping people fed. Which, to be honest,
it's the bare minimum. Like I think it's like it really like if you have a good job, that $1,000 or $2,000 is not going to change your life, and that's going to be you know a nice little extra for you to spend to generate bigger economy, right? But for the people who are like fucked, for the people who are having to, I don't know how it's in the US, but like a lot of people in Brazil work with like delivery apps. So they
Like Happy though.
yeah, so they're like on a motorbike delivering food from the restaurant to people's houses, and that's their main source of income. So like
Wow.
they make like I don't know, like the minimum salary in Brazil is 1,000 reais, which is yeah, right now
It's like 300. Yeah.
$200 a month. And you know, if they get another, you know, 800 reais on top of that from the government, that's like a significant impact in their like in their quality of life. It's not like he's not gonna play video games. He can't afford to do that. Like it's not. That's the problem with like this.
But will he be like lazy still? Will he just do his Happy though and then do his 800 and that's it, or will he actually start something?
Maybe happy with that. You know, that's the thing. Like I think a lot of people might say, okay, good, I'm getting $1,200 a month from the government so I can chill. But they're gonna do that for a month, and then they're gonna be like, "What the fuck am I doing?" You know, like,
True.
okay, maybe some people are gonna do that forever, but I think a lot more people are gonna, be productive and contribute and see this as like, oh, thank God, I'm not in the shit anymore. I can spend
feed their
money.
families. Like,
Yeah,
I think that's
that's a big thing, huh? Like putting food on the table.
Than a full salary. So.
and like most people in the world are poor, not rich.
Yeah, well, yeah, compared to I think most people would be considered more or less, like, it depends obviously, but it depends because the two biggest countries in the world, right, China and India, you would say are majority poor.
Yeah.
But like as far as first world country goes, I'd say most are middle class, but yeah, like the upper class is obviously a lot smaller than the lower class.
So there's a lot more people who are gonna benefit from this thing.
And also I kind of don't understand like the reasoning from like like more diehard capitalists and like right wingers. It's like, yeah, you're giving people money, but like that's money that they're going to use to, they're not gonna hide that money. They're gonna spend it in your
services.
Like it just generates the economy. Like it's
Sure.
good. Like, it's a multiplier effect.
Well, I mean, we're gonna see now. Like, let's see what happens with these $1,200 a month.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I mean, that's perfect. It's in action. Let's see what happens.
I think Andrew Yang said that. He's like, this is you guys are mandatory now. Have to do what I was talking about.
See, Rick is a legend. Like honestly, like missed opportunity, man.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's an interesting time. We'll see about the work from home. We'll see about the stimulus package. We'll see about the effect on the environment. We'll see a lot of things during these next few months to come. And I think you both are absolutely right. This thing, in my opinion, is not going anywhere. Most countries have pushed it back to May now. But it's probably going to go back to June, July at least. I'm sure travel bans and stuff like that are going to be pushed back even further than that. But
yeah, I think non-essential travel is pretty much banned already.
Yeah, but there's a lot of these trickle down stuff that's happening. You stop travel, and then people at the airports can't work, and then what are they going to do? And then so it's like this whole thing is going to really push our economy to some weird decisions. We're not quite sure exactly what those decisions are yet, but every country is going to be feeling it based on just travel alone. For instance, Brazil, like a lot of your economy in Brazil came from, especially in Rio and in Salvador and all these other places, like majority of the economy came from, Florianopolis. Majority of the economy comes from tourism. So it's going to be really interesting to see what these countries end up doing. And I hope it's for the better.
Too. I think a good option. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna do this, but I think it would be smart is to like, if everyone can get tested if they have COVID or not. If they have the antibodies, like if you have the antibodies, you're good to travel. Like you're good to go back to work, you're good to do whatever. Like it's normal life to you. But if you haven't had it yet, then you just gotta keep it safe so that you don't get it and become a patient somewhere. Like I think that's a good way to start it, at least. Like if you have it, man, you get like, I don't know, like a little bracelet that says that you have it, or you get a
little tattoo on the forehead.
I don't know, a stamp.
So we all know.
You can show like, I had COVID, I'm good now.
Yeah.
I've been sober for 15 days. I don't know, some shit like that.
Man, I had this discussion with my friend from Italy. They should be doing that anyways. Like, I understand that they don't have tests and they can't test everybody, but there should be something like you have COVID, you've had COVID, and now you can go back to work. You can go work in a hospital. If we need help, you can go volunteer at a hospital, but they're not keeping track of anybody. And I hope that one day soon that they start at least keeping track, or people can, I would like to make, or someone, if anyone's watching this, go make a website that people can actually log on and say, here's the day I was in the hospital. Maybe they still have their bracelet or whatever. Say, I was in the hospital and the doctor said for sure I had COVID. They didn't test me, but they said for sure I had it. And we're not testing you. Like my friend Kaylee, she had it. She still has it. She's still recovering. But at least she could say, I've had it. They said I had it. and I would like to volunteer and help out in the hospital. I would like to deliver groceries to an elderly. I would like to, step up and do what I can do to kind of help. And
Yeah, exactly.
so someone needs to make this because,
yeah. We're just gonna wait for government to do it. Like, I mean, it's their job, to be honest, but I think they have their hands quite full. Yeah. Like,
but if they're not testing either, how they can't keep track of everybody if they're not testing. So
yeah,
I
exactly.
think in some way or another, it has to be up to us to do something as well. We can't just look at them. Yeah. We'll see. Do you guys have a message for anybody out there? Like, you want to tell people to be careful or be cautious, or what? You guys are taking it seriously, but Holland maybe is not taking it so seriously.
Yeah, I mean, stay safe, be responsible, like, just, try to be happy, try to live normally as you can, just try to enjoy it. I don't know, man, like, we're stuck in this, just try to enjoy it,
Yeah, and like, I would say, like, prepare yourself financially as well for the next, like, for a pretty bad year and a half to come. Like, I think that's a lot of, I saw like quite an interesting Reddit post, like in the very beginning, like I think it was February or something, about a guy saying like, this situation highlights the importance of having like an emergency fund, your own emergency fund, because like, like this situation like this, that's when it, push comes to shove, like you need to have some sort of financial securities. And I keep that in mind for like future shit that can go on. Like, not only like the situation might be difficult to save at the moment, but I would limit my spending, and I would just try to
learn from this. Basically, I think that's also good. Like, just be observant. Like, see, like, this is happening. Like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Like, what should we be doing instead? Like, what should I have done in order to be better prepared for a situation like this? Like, what can I do so that if something like this happens again, which likely, I mean, it's going to happen again. Like, well, I'm prepared. I mean, statistically, it's a guarantee that we're going to get another virus some other day. If we keep eating bats and pangolins, then for sure, like, it's like, just, how can we be more responsible so that
did you say we keep eating? I haven't eaten a bat or a pangolin all.
I've eaten some weird shit, but like, not penguins and bats, that's for sure.
I didn't even know they had this weird anteater looking pangolin thing in this world. I didn't even know that existed.
But yeah, like, let's be more responsible, let's be more aware, and that's it, man.
Vote for the right people as well. Like, honestly, it sounds so stupid to say this, but like, vote consciously about like people who like take this shit seriously as well.
Yeah, and you said it before, and I'll say it again. Stay busy. Don't just sit around and drink or whatever. I mean, find a hobby, find something you enjoy doing, something maybe that you said, oh, I would do that, but I just don't have the time, or I've never had the time to do this. Like, do it. There's no better time than now to do it. And why not stay busy and, do something that you feel like you haven't done in a long time that you wanted to always accomplish or you always wanted to do.
Yeah, and also it doesn't have to be something long. If you work out for 20 minutes, man, that's fucking good. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
You don't have to, or if you want to paint for 10 minutes, that's fine too. Just, it's great. Like,
start small goals. Yeah, start with small goals and then nail it.
Keep checking.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool, guys. Thanks. Yeah, I'll cut the rest of this out, but thanks for coming on. That was awesome.
Thanks, David. No, it's great, man. It's good to talk to you. Yeah. Great conversation too. I really like where this is going.
Yeah.
It's you have a podcast, like.
I got a microphone.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, bro.
Like, you're so professional
rig, bro.
Yeah.
I got a big circle light, so my eyes look pretty. Can you see my? Yeah, I mean, this is something I've always kind of wanted to do. So it's one of those things as well. Like, I have friends all over the world, so why not talk to them and catch up and record it? I mean, my friends are cool. You guys are cool. So why not talk and record it?
Well, it makes sense. Is it also like, I don't know, bro, it's like something to do, as you said, like, you're something to do.
It's also, I was also thinking about it like more of a philosophical way. Like, it's kind of it's a time capsule. Like, this is a conversation that we're having. It's interesting for us. Like, if someone else wants to listen to it, sure, like, that's nice too. But like, for me personally, I really like the idea of having like a conversation that we had recorded. So like maybe 20 years, I can see like, oh, look at this fucking idiot. Like,
It's only gonna last a year and a half. It's 10 years later.
I think
This guy freaking out.
yeah. Just from that point of view, it's also like interesting. Like, if this is a huge success, if you're the next Joe Rogan or not, like it's still pretty cool that you're doing this. So kudos, man. I think it's awesome that you're doing this.
If you enjoyed that, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, set the notifications. You don't want to miss another World Corona Chronicle.